Alright, let's get into part 2. Make sure to check out part 1 if you missed that. Oh, it had to start at some point. Nice. Oh, too many. Oh, no. Oh, Torment. Oh, thank God. Holy crap. Oh, no. To where? Oh, come on. No. Don't go down here. Torment, no. No. Oh God. I hate that there's like no music. It's all just silent. They're coming from the other side too, aren't they? Through all this, hear one word yelled throughout the air. Dracarys. They're not dying here. They are not dying here. Yeah. Woo! Yes. Thank you. I love you. Look at that. Every direction. Nobody else died. Oh. What? Fire can't even kill White Walkers, can they? You just impale him on the spike of the dragon? Oh God. Dodge! That is a lot of blood. It's dying. No. They lost the dragon. You want to fight him now? No! Get out!
Go! Go now, please!
John, what the why did you... Jorah. What about John? Where's... Shoot. He did something stupid. John, get up. I don't know the extent of the White Walker's powers, but at least the dragon sank. Didn't bring back the frickin' dragon. Benjen Stark. Benjen Ex Machina.
Uncle Benjen.
You can't believe it. Let's go, leave.
You're right for the pass. Come with me. There's no time.
What do you mean there's no time? Do you want to pass down that incredible frickin' weapon, though? He's dead. Even more dead than before. Oh god. Benjen, no! Why didn't he go with him? There's no time? What kind of excuse is that? 2 people couldn't fit on that horse?
It's time to go, Your Grace.
A bit longer.
She's gonna turn around and he's gonna come back. Ooh, there we go. I called it. Called it. Put him by a fire. Wrap him in as many blankets as possible. Make him a burrito. Oh. Is that Walder Frey?
Not what you're looking for. You wanted to be a queen. To sit next to a handsome young king on the Iron Throne. I wanted to be a knight. To pick up a sword like father and go off to battle. The world doesn't just let girls decide what they're going to be.
Yeah.
But I can now. With the faces I can choose. I can become someone else. Speak in their voice. Live in their skin. I could even become you.
Are you literally threatening her right now? Come on, Arya.
I wonder what it would feel like
God damn.
to wear those pretty dresses. To be the Lady of Winterfell.
Carve it off yourself. I've seen you half naked now. Your turn.
I'm sorry.
That's the first thing he says. Wow.
I'm so sorry.
He understands how much the dragon meant to her.
If we hadn't gone, I wouldn't have seen.
Oh, now she believes for
It's
real.
sad to know. We are going to destroy the Night King and his army. We'll do it together.
Let's go.
You have my word.
First, bend the knee.
Thank you, Danny.
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 He was the last person who called me that.
Viserys.
Not the company you want to keep.
Not Danny.
My love.
How about my queen? I'd bend the knee, but
He can't move.
Those who swore allegiance to you.
they'll all come to see you for what you are.
My king.
I hope I deserve it.
Oh. Oh.
You do.
This is a huge turnaround this season. Nope. Can't be doing this.
You should get some rest.
Yes, Auntie. Hey, Auntie. What are they dragging? No, no. 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 How did they attach it to... That is a lot of people dragging. Oh, God. No, no, no. Oh. No. Please tell me this doesn't work. Oh, no, 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 no. As if they weren't dangerous enough already. Ah, jeez. Oh, no. I cannot believe that just happened. Frickin' the dragon got frickin' dragged back. They are screwed. They are screwed. Oh my god. Oh man. Wow. Okay. Okay, I haven't even actually gone to edit yet. This is like 2 minutes after I stopped watching the episode and ended the recording. I'm like in a cold, such a cold sweat. I've changed into the sweater because I am at the same time freezing yet sweating a lot. It's just this episode. Oh my god. Holy crap. The Battle of Bastards and The Winds of Winter were better episodes, but I feel like this one might be more impactful. Like, as a whole, like the White Walkers getting a freaking dragon is a huge deal. Like, it's more important to anything than, I mean, I guess for the sake of all of humanity, it's more important than everything. I'm sweating. I am dying. Oh my god. All right. I'll see you guys later. All right, guys. Episode title was Beyond the Wall. I had no idea what I was in for in this episode, and it was such a journey. I really liked the conversations the group had while they were heading north. Tormund talking about keeping warm by walking, fighting, and fucking. They could have used that later when they were surrounded by the whites, but Tormund blames Mance Rayder for not bending the knee. Honestly, he should have in retrospect, but everything he stood for didn't allow it. And I get he didn't want them to fight for Stannis, but the alternative was staying in the north and getting rolled over by the White Walkers, which happened. Mance Rayder inadvertently contributed to tens of thousands of wildlings being added to the Walker army. I love that talk between Jon and Jorah about Jeor and Longclaw, though. Maybe when Lyanna gets older, he can try to give it to her. She'll probably turn it down too, though. And the conversation between Sandor and Tormund about Brienne, Tormund bragging about how he's got a woman waiting for him, and then relenting that he's not with her yet. But the way she looks at him, like she wants to carve him up and eat his liver. What else could it be but love? And then Thoros and Jorah talk to each other. Nice little tidbits we learn here and there. And then we have Arya and Sansa's fight. It's continuing to get like very frustrating. First, there was that turnaround from Arya, like talking about how Ned clapped for her when she finally shot that bullseye, and then she said he was dead because of the Lannisters with Sansa's help. Oh my god! At first, I was just like, "Girl, you need to chill. You need to chill." I was like in Pulp Fiction, Samuel L. Jackson to that girl, like, "You need to chill, just chill." But a girl has no chill, and I started to get where she was coming from after a while, like Arya, like this episode, she was saying that there was no way she would have been forced by the Lannisters to do anything if she was in Sansa's place, and she was saying how Lyanna Stark would chew Sansa out. But there aren't a lot of Arya Starks and Lyanna Mormonts in this world, but I get it. I get that she wouldn't have done the same thing. She wouldn't have betrayed. I don't really count it as a betrayal though, honestly. Like what Sansa did was of no consequence in the end. Like, Robb and Catelyn ignored the letter knowing it was from Cersei. And even if Sansa hadn't written it, like, Cersei wasn't suddenly going to call for Ned's head anyway. I guess she didn't know that. But Sansa definitely would have been harder on her, and she wouldn't only have been tortured by Joffrey. And after Bran says Sansa was so beautiful the night she married Ramsay, Arya is now like, "You were so pretty the day Dad was murdered." Jeez. Oh, man. But yeah, I don't blame Sansa for it at all. She was taught to be a lady, like, all her life, while Arya and Lyanna were not. So she doesn't have that rebellious and do anything for honor side that she might have now. I don't know if she does now. But Littlefinger talks to Sansa about Arya, and he's such a snake. Like, Arya would never betray her family, while he's actively trying to get the sisters to turn on each other. And he drops the idea that Brienne would have to intercede if Sansa or Arya came after each other at all. And then Sansa is adamant that Brienne be sent south to King's Landing in her stead. I feel like there's one of two possibilities with this. The first is that she trusts Arya and doesn't really think she's a threat, which means she's manipulating Littlefinger by continuing to bring up how much she doesn't know Arya anymore and how she can't predict her actions. That's why she sent Brienne away, because she doesn't need protection. The second possibility is that Sansa wants Brienne out of the way so that Brienne can't intercede while she goes after Arya. And I think it's definitely the first one because of the thing she said to Brienne about how she doesn't need protection. And even though Brienne is like, "What about Littlefinger?" She's just like, "It's okay, I've got this." Or she doesn't say that, but sending her away, I feel like, is her way of saying, "I've got this." Yeah, and I feel like is manipulating. If this is the way they're going, Sansa is manipulating Littlefinger like a pro. And yeah, it's really interesting how she got to this place, because Arya says that girls never get to become what they want in this world. And looking back at just our main characters, I think that is mostly true. Brienne of frickin' Tarth might be the only one who got to be a knight after she wants to be a knight, but it's not like things have always gone her way either, with Renly dying, Catelyn dying. But I guess a large part of this show is about who people become while they try to be what they want to be. The world shapes some of them into who they need to be instead. And I feel like that's what happened with all the living Starks, at least. Bran, Jon, Sansa, and Arya. But yeah, Sansa goes to look for the note in Arya's room and finds Arya's faces. And she's obviously freaked out, rightfully so. And after she pulls out the first face, I think I heard footsteps. I wasn't sure if it was like someone in my house or actual footsteps in the episode. I should have listened to it again just to make sure. But I'm pretty sure the second face she pulled out was Walder Frey's face. But if it was just a nod to us as the audience. It's not like Sansa would recognize them, I don't think. But then Arya basically threatens to take Sansa's face to see what it's like to wear pretty dresses, to be the Lady of Winterfell. And that's confusing. I feel like that means they have to be faking. Like, she never wanted to be a lady. It's not who she was. Would she even want to pretend to be that? But yeah, like, last episode with Littlefinger, I was wondering if she knew he was watching him. Was that intimidation and showdown with Sansa just for show? Did she know Littlefinger was listening or would find out? And now that I think about it, the woman he gave a coin to last episode was probably just being paid off to listen and report to him. So yeah, I was saying that before I realized that before I became convinced that they were just playing Littlefinger, I was telling them like, oh, read this book, Difficult Conversations. I'm reading it now and it's actually really good. Talks about how people shouldn't make assumptions about others' intentions, but they do all the time, and they're almost always wrong. It's like this. It's this bias where you think everybody thinks they know what the other person is thinking, but it's almost always incorrect. This book teaches you how to navigate conversations you don't want to have in the best way possible, teaching how to communicate so you get to what you're actually talking about rather than the surface level stuff. And I highly recommend it. But yeah, anyway, maybe they don't need this book because they're playing at a higher level, trying to play Littlefinger. I mean, Arya pretended to serve Tywin as his cupbearer for so long, so I feel like her bringing up Sansa serving Cersei is out of line. I mean, Arya can argue that she was trying to find a way to kill him or just survive, but Sansa could argue the same thing. And she did try to kill Joffrey. Who was it that stopped him? Has stopped her. I think it was the Hound, right? Anyway, back to the show. After this book detour, I really like the talk between the heroes. Talk about heroes between Tyrion and Daenerys. The fact that all the great heroes that have met Daenerys have fallen in love with her is quite striking. And then the fact that she thinks Jon is too little, but she likes her men big, apparently. I actually only realized how short Jon was earlier in this episode when he was walking next to Jorah, and Jorah looks like a good half foot taller than him. And then they talk about who sits on the throne after Daenerys dies, or Tyrion tries to talk about it, but Daenerys will have none of it. She's still very young and idealistic, but it does raise a significant question, and then bringing it up now makes me feel like it will have to be addressed again by the end of the series, definitely. Either she has an heir or she dies and somebody has to take up that mantle. But back up beyond the wall, things are definitely getting out of hand. The polar bear, the white polar bear, not white, the white, not W-H-I-T-E, W-I-G-H-T. They slowly killed off like the background wildlings, but the bear finally got the Thoros. They let that scene last so much longer than I thought it was. He was just like being torn apart for so long. And I thought for sure he was dead, but they let him stay alive just long enough for him to die from hypothermia the next day. But it was Jorah who wound up taking out the bear. That feels like it's not insignificant since his sigil is a bear. But then Jon manages to take out a White Walker and deanimates the whites it reanimated. They got their white, the last living one, but it screams and calls all the other whites. Oh, that was terrifying. And what the heck? How are some of the whites faster than living human beings? Like, I guess they don't have like weight to them. Like they're all bones, so they don't have to. They can run faster because they're lighter, but then they don't have the muscles to move. I'm trying to throw science at this, and this is completely like it doesn't make any sense anyway. But yeah, the fact that they had them surrounded was terrifying around that rock. But it was cool that the ice broke. That was really cool. But yeah, Beric actually has a pretty good idea. Kill the Night King and it is all over. Is that what it's going to come down to in the end? It'll be interesting to see. There was no way they could have made it all the way there through the mountain of whites this time, but maybe in the future they can get to him. He is capable of long-ranged attacks though, so he'll likely stay in the background for most of the fight. Honestly, he should just remove himself from the fight and just like let everybody else deal with everything. But yeah, the Hound, he's kind of freaking hilarious. He just gets bored and starts throwing stones, calling the white a dumb sea. And I find it funny that out of all of the men remaining in that group, he's the one who's like most easily bored and like restless. He's like kicking the white that I've captured and then throwing the rocks. I kind of want to see him get chewed out a bit for throwing the rock and letting the whites know that the water had frozen over, but who's going to give him that talk? But yeah, he's just so... I don't even know what the word is. He's just hilarious. Do I have any water left? I need some water. I think it was really interesting that Jorah is the only person I saw using a dragonglass dagger or dragonglass weapons in general. The others are more comfortable with larger weapons. I think it speaks a little to their different combat proficiencies. Jorah's more skilled with daggers, I guess. And I feel like we see Tormund on the losing side of battles quite a bit, actually. Like against Karstark, he almost loses until the horns blow, and he only won because Karstark was distracted. Was it Karstark or was it Karstark? I'm pretty sure. And then this episode, he needed to be saved. There's no shame in it. I'm just saying... it's just counter to my perception of him for some reason. I keep thinking of him as like this unstoppable beast of a soldier, but he's kind of not. I'm guessing it has something to do with the wildlings not being able to learn from other cultures. Like combat just developed differently on the other side of the wall because the South had so many different types of fighting from so many different areas, and they were being constantly tested and honed against each other. Not to say there wasn't fighting above the wall, but there were skirmishes, not like wars. And but yeah, I was bringing up Tormund because I feel like this show loves playing with our emotions towards him. He just had this hilarious scene talking about how much he loves Brienne and wants to go back. Not loves, but he wants to go back to Brienne. So it made sense storytelling wise for him to die here. But the writers are definitely playing with us. They had him suffering and screaming for help for the longest time, and he was like choking, and I was just like, oh. And there was no music during that shot. I really thought he might have been done in at that moment, but I'm glad he's not. He's very, very likable. And then the sounds got very muted as we had close-ups of people's faces. They were on the brink. They were all backed up. This show was really trying hard to sell the despair, and it made me be like, there's no way they're dying here. Like, Daenerys is coming, like, now. And I mean, I thought for a while that somebody was going to die, but it would have been a heck of a way to end the episode if they just decided to go in a different direction and have several of them get killed off. But yeah, the Daenerys arriving felt so good. An incredible spectacle. Back against the battle with the Lannisters, I had these conflicted feelings of like this looks amazing, but I feel bad for these innocent soldiers who are just like following orders. They're not innocent, but they're just following orders. But this is why you have zombies in your story. I have a friend who doesn't like zombies or undead because he feels like they're just a plot device, like just an enemy without complex motivation that you just have to get rid of. And on some level, I kind of agree, but this show just makes such good use of them. Like going back to the first episode of the series, those were some creepy whites, and they definitely set this tone for the entire series. And then in this episode, having them be used as fodder that burn in the face of dragons makes it so satisfying. Like, I don't think there are any live human armies that I wouldn't feel like, they're all dying so brutally. But these wights, like, you can cheer unconditionally for the spectacle without hesitation because they're dead people that should stay dead. But of course, the Night King. I think what's so good about this scene is that just as we're at an ultimate high of seeing these dragons wreak havoc, we are brought down to our lowest low. We are scared beyond belief. We've seen Drogon sort of be vulnerable before, but honestly, he was okay in Meereen when the Sons of the Harpies were attacking. Just got a few things stuck in him, and the Scorpion wasn't that bad for him. So the viewers-hbo.com says that the dragon that the Night's King threw the spear at, it was Viserion. And to see him bleeding so much, to see his body bathe in the flames as he fell from the sky, I was definitely in shock. I knew dragons must be somewhat vulnerable because of the stories we've heard, especially in history and lore. But even in those stories, the only thing that killed dragons, I believe, were other dragons. So basically, like, the real first moment of vulnerability that we see them in resulted in one of them dying. And Jon, I don't know if you can blame it on him. Like, if he had gotten on Drogon as soon as everybody else did and they fled, maybe Viserion would still be alive. I don't know. But it's funny that Daenerys brought up the hero thing earlier with Tyrion and how they're always trying to do the stupid thing to prove themselves and whatever. And Jon, he did the stupid thing. He should have just gotten on and left. I guess he was trying to help keep the enemies at bay, but everybody got on already and he was still, like, swinging his sword around. And they weren't going to fly away without him, so at least not at that point. But yeah, I felt like everybody should get on the dragon at the same time and just fly. It felt like he was just there to get his kill count up. But yeah, Daenerys leaves him behind after he gets dragged into the water, but he eventually climbs back out. And it's freaking Benjen to the rescue. I mean, he hasn't seen his uncle in more than 6 years, and he has 2 sentences with him. Uncle Benjen, and come with me, and that's it. And Benjen, I don't understand. Like, there's no time? What? This is Titanic all over again. There's room on that horse, or the door. And that cool weapon that he was swinging around is now gone too. I'm surprised he went down so quickly. I guess it was much better on a horse while he's moving pretty quickly. It makes more sense that way, but at least Jon makes it back to the wall because of him. Daenerys was so happy. Oh, and I wanted to say something about Jorah earlier. I forgot. I'm not exactly sure when it was, but Jorah definitely gave up on being with Daenerys a few seasons ago now. And I'm not sure when exactly it was. Maybe it was when he was first banished. I'm not sure. But he saw her a few times with Jon, and we don't see him be jealous, or we don't see him try to, like, sad that he's not with her or something anymore. I think all he really wants to do now is serve. I think he's accepted that he's not going to be with her. And the fact that he says he wants Jon to pass down Longclaw to his children, is he anticipating, like, they will be Daenerys' children as well? He's basically doing anything to serve his queen. But anyway, Jon, he wakes up and decides to bend the knee. A little surprising. Like, he wasn't being forced to bend the knee, so I don't see the value in doing it at that moment. Like, I don't like that he made that decision on behalf of everyone else in the North when he didn't need to. I'd be okay if he swore an alliance with Daenerys to take down Cersei eventually, but to pledge everything to her is not a move I'm a big fan of. But Daenerys, she says she hopes she deserves it, which I feel like is huge. I don't think she's ever been this humble ever, like, in the history of, like, the show. And they share some tender hand-holding. Like, when is this incest happening? I love how in the beginning of the season we're just like, oh, Jaime and Cersei, they're brother and sister, and now we're just like, Daenerys and Jon, let's go. And actually, oh my god, wouldn't you guys love a How I Met Your Mother show about Jon telling his kids how he met Daenerys? That would be so much fun. Anyway, at the start of the series, I wanted either Daenerys or Jon to be on the Iron Throne at the end because they were characters who had nothing and were being stepped on all the time, and I thought it would make them good leaders. But Daenerys has gotten a little too kill happy, though the "I hope I deserve it" thing could mean some big growth for her, and I think she'd still be good at ruling with the right advisors. Maybe not good at conquering. I feel like she's good at conquering, but I feel like she might go too far without her advisors. But if she's ruling, I think she can do some good things. Jon, he has good advisors too, but actually needs to listen to them because he likes making dumb mistakes and unforced errors. And I definitely think bending the knee when he didn't need to is one of them. He let his emotions get there. Right now, I actually think that the person I would most want on the throne might be Sansa. I don't know what she's planning with Arya though. Like, her reason for sending Brienne away might be critical to my support for her in the future. I mean, none of this really matters. Like, Jon and Daenerys actually have the birthright, but maybe Daenerys' role isn't to break the wheel, is just to break the wheel, and then somebody else will rule. But they're all still like very, very young. There are strengths and weaknesses that probably haven't even started developing yet, so it's still too early to know. But then at the end of the episode, earlier when Jon was coming back out of the water, I was just like, wow, this sucks. The dragon is dead, but at least it sank, so it can't be revived. But then at the end of the episode, I don't know where the Whites got these huge chains. I don't know how they tied them to the dragons. I guess we've seen before that Whites can't swim. Maybe some of them were just like giving up their life, sent to the bottom to tie them to Viserion, and then those Whites just like stay submerged for all of eternity. But I don't know. I kept hoping and hoping the Night King's magic would somehow not work because the dragons have magical powers too that might block it, or some BS that might not result with the White Walkers having a freaking dragon. I was just trying to come up with excuses for it not to happen, but no, it happened. I could make a Blue Eyes White Dragon, a Blue Eyes joke about Viserion, but I won't. And yeah, the White Walkers getting a dragon, I don't know what to do with that. What can even stop that? Like, the only thing I can think of that could stop a dragon is another dragon. But while they're trying to take on their dead brother, Rhaegal and Drogon, while they're trying to take on Viserion, the Night King could just throw another spear. So I don't see a good way to do this. I'm hoping this alliance with Cersei works and they can use the Scorpion and outfit it with a Dragonglass bolt. But then even with that, I'm not sure it gets through the dragon's hide since Dragonglass is brittle. And I guess maybe they'd have to shoot it into his mouth. Maybe Jon winds up like jumping inside the dragon and slicing it up from the inside with his sword, but I guess the dragon would just breathe fire first. I don't know. Maybe he's flying on Rhaegal and jumps onto Viserion and tries to cut him up that way. That would be sick. Or stick Jon in Scorpion and launch him towards Viserion. Though if they missed, he would just go for like falling to his death. Maybe put Longclaw in Scorpion and just shoot it at Viserion. I would count on that being able to get through Dragon's Hide, actually. So that would be pretty funny. It might just wind up with Drogon biting Viserion's neck, though, and that's probably what it's going to be. But I'm hoping whatever they do, it'll be a surprise, though. Surprise! Viserion kills Rhaegal, and the Night King reanimates him too. They take down Drogon and everyone else in the kingdom. The end. Oh, that would be bad. So a score for this episode. I'm actually going to do some finagling. Is that a word? I've heard people say finagling. I don't know if it's actually a word, though. I'm actually going to raise the score for a past episode. The Winds of Winter. I typically write my score right after I finish watching an episode, and I realized that I should probably change that. I should probably do it after editing and everything. And yeah, the fact that the Winds of Winter started with a bang instead of ending with one might have contributed to me not giving it the score it deserved. I also can't get that episode out of my mind. Like, the Red Wedding stuck with me for a while, but the Winds of Winter, it stuck with me a lot more than the Battle of the Bastards did. And so I'm going to have to raise that score. I think I'm just appreciating it more with time, so I'm going to give that a 5.5. So full 0.5 bump. I also want to give an official score for Season 5, Episode 6, when Sansa marries Ramsay, since I didn't officially give that a score earlier. I'll give it a 2. I'll give it 2 direwolves. And finally, for this episode, I'm going to give it a score of 5 direwolves. Yeah, and another reason I felt like I had to raise the score for The Winds of Winter is because I just couldn't give this episode the same score as The Winds of Winter. But I also really wanted to give this one a 5. So my feelings towards this episode might improve, though, if it's revealed that Arya and Sansa are playing Littlefinger. That just feels like a big thing that needs to be resolved. I feel like if they're not playing him, it feels very forced. But anyway, I think this might be the longest discussion yet. Well, no, the time I guessed Jon's parentage was really, really long. This is definitely the second longest, though. But yeah, my throat is dying. But be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe. If you're watching this on YouTube and you want to watch the final episode of the season right now, or you want to check out the full episode reaction, make sure to check out Early Access on Patreon in the link in the description below. In the link in the description below or over here. Thanks for watching. Bye, friends.